The number of relevant parties present in EU parliamentary elections is very high, possibly due to the fact that it involves 27 different countries. Since seats are apportioned to the states, who then choose those seats themselves, we have to make a distinction between parties and groups. European countries have parties that run at the national level, many of which also run for the country's seats in the European Parliament. Some, but not all, of these parties also join supranational parties. Finally, those parties and their members will form groups in European Parliament. These groups function sort of like coalitions, but are usually more ideologically coherent, and are not made to comprise a majority, but to coordinate international political efforts. First, we'll talk about the two major parties, the EPP and the PES. Both of these parties regularly win triple-digit seat counts in the 720-seat chamber. The EPP, or European People's Party, is described by a mix of liberalism and conservatism, and is the most mainstream of the center-aligned parties on the ballot. As would make sense for a European political party, a lot of the party's core issues are about expanding and centralizing the EU, perhaps the most interesting point of which is the idea of a direct election of the President of the European Commission. They do have other stances, though, even if many of them fall close to the center. They care about traditional values, but also a liberal concept of freedom. The one place they seem to diverge from the center is that they have a more environmentally friendly energy policy. Second fiddle is played by the PES, the Party of European Socialists. Contrary to the name, the party's platform more resembles that of progressives and social democrats, who want to mitigate the negative effects of capitalism without replacing it entirely. Their party platform emphasizes the need for welfare state policies, such as job training and social programs. Moving on to the medium-sized parties, to the right of the EPP is the ECR, the European Conservatives and Reformists Party, a right-wing but not quite far-right party represented by a cool picture of a lion. They're what's called soft Eurosceptics, meaning they don't want to get rid of the EU, but are hesitant about centralization. Jumping to the EPP's other flank is the ALDE, the Alliance of Liberals and Democrats for Europe party. While the ALDE certainly has a liberal view on the economy, their party manifesto places a particularly strong emphasis on classical liberal social and particularly diplomatic issues. They make frequent and explicit reference in support of providing military aid to Ukraine and centralizing European defense. Of the major parties we've discussed so far, the ALDE is probably the most pro-European. Our next party to discuss, on the other hand, is the most Eurosceptic of the bunch, Patriots.eu. No, I didn't read their website URL by mistake, although it is also their website URL. That's their party's official name. Previously the Identity and Democracy Party, Patriots.eu doesn't oppose the existence of the EU, but believes that it has been twisted into a liberal and overly centralized form by globalists, lobbyists, and bureaucrats. Some of its bigger internal member parties are France's National Rally and Hungary's Fidesz, Viktor Orban's party.
The globalists can all go to hell. I have come to Texas.
Left of all the parties we've discussed so far are the Greens. They're pretty typical for what you'd expect of a Green party, but surprisingly are fairly pro-European. While some leftists are disapproving of the EU's liberal market policies and free trade, the Green Party's stance makes sense when you consider that many of their core goals, protecting human rights, peaceful international relations, and of course handling climate change, require international cooperation to complete, and a supranational state provides a great opportunity just for that. The last and smallest major party is the PEL, the Party of the European Left. Compared to the Social Democrats of the PES, the PEL represent a range of properly socialist ideologies, from democratic socialism to straight-up communism. What far left and far right parties have in common is some degree of Euroscepticism. In the left's case, spurred mainly by concerns about globalization, free trade, and labor outsourcing. They also emphasize their opposition to foreign intervention and militarism. There are some other smaller parties, but they don't matter as much as the groups they go on to join. On the topic of groups, let's take a look at those. There are 8 European parliamentary groups. 9 if you count independents. The EPP and NCR both have a group built around their party, and the Patriots have their Patriots for Europe group, aka the PFE, but they all let other parties with similar platforms and ideologies in. To the right of the Patriots, you have the ESN, Europe of Sovereign Nation. The main member of this group is the AfD, Germany's far-right party, who were kicked out of the PFE's predecessor for allegedly being Nazi sympathizers and declined to join the PFE when it formed later. The left is a lot simpler. Renew Europe is the liberals, S&D is the Social Democrats and progressives, and the left is, you guessed it, the left. The one complexity on this side of the aisle are the Greens. They have a group with the European Free Alliance, the EFA, a collection of smaller parties that mostly believe in some form of regional devolution and autonomy for stateless peoples. Since the Scottish National Party was forced out as a result of Brexit, the two main contributors of seats are the New Flemish Alliance in Belgium and a small handful of parties in Spain, advocating independence for Galicia, Valencia, and Catalonia, respectively. That's all I have for now. Take it away, Charlie and/or Ian and/or Sam.